Episode 2, The Whispers in the Bamboo Forest. I still remember the child. His pale skin, his lifeless eyes, and the small puncture marks on his neck. That image has haunted me since that night. The villagers whispered that it was the work of a vampire, a mark-rong, but I told myself it must have been a sickness, or a trick of the mind. Yet deep down, I knew something was wrong, something far beyond reason, and the more I tried to ignore it, the more it clawed at me, whispering inside my head. That was why, when the sun sank behind the black ridges of the mountains, I found myself walking toward the bamboo forest. The villagers had warned me never to go there after dark. They said the forest belonged to spirits, and that once you heard the whispers, you would never come back the same. But I could not resist. Fear had turned into obsession. I had to see for myself. The moment I stepped into the forest, the air changed. The world outside seemed to fall away. There were no stars above, no moonlight, only an endless sea of towering bamboo stalks swaying gently as though breathing. The ground was damp, soft beneath my feet, and the smell of rotting leaves rose up with every step. I carried a lantern, its tiny flame trembling, but it barely lit more than a few feet around me. The deeper I went, the more the shadows closed in, pressing against my skin like cold fingers. At first, it was silent, too silent. No insects, no owls, not even the wind. My own breathing sounded louder than it should, echoing between the bamboo. I remember thinking, this silence is alive. It was waiting. Then came the whispers. At first, they were faint, like the sound of water trickling over stones. I froze, listening. The sound slid through the bamboo, never fixed in one place. Sometimes it seemed ahead of me, sometimes behind. Then, slowly, I realized they were voices. Not one, but many. Children laughing, women murmuring, men groaning low and deep, all blending together in a language I could not understand. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might shatter my ribs. I tried to convince myself it was just wind. But no, the air was still. There was no wind. I forced myself to move forward, every step cautious. My lantern shook in my hand, the flame dancing wildly. The whispers grew clearer. They were calling, not with words I knew, but with intent. They wanted me deeper. I don't know how long I walked. Time did not exist in that place. But at some point, the whispers stopped. The silence crashed down like a heavy weight. I thought for a moment it was over. I let out a shaky breath, and then the lantern died. The darkness was complete. It was not the kind of darkness you find in a room with no light. This was heavier, thicker, suffocating, as though the forest had swallowed me whole. My hands shook as I fumbled for a match, my fingers slick with sweat. That was when I felt it, a breath. Warm, soft, right against the back of my neck. I spun around. Nothing. Just black. My chest tightened, my throat closing with panic. Then, between the bamboo, I saw them, two faintly glowing eyes, pale yellow, unblinking. They hovered in the dark like lanterns of the dead. I couldn't move. My legs refused to obey. The eyes drifted closer, and slowly, the shape emerged. A figure, tall, impossibly thin, with arms too long, swaying like broken branches. Its skin shimmered pale and wet, like something pulled from a grave. And when it opened its mouth, I saw teeth, long, jagged, glistening in the dark. The whispers returned, louder now, swirling around me like a storm. I clutched the charm the shaman had given me, pressing it against my chest. The creature tilted its head, studying me like a predator studies prey. And then, in a voice that sounded like reeds snapping underwater, it spoke my name. My knees nearly gave way. How could it know me? I stumbled backward, gasping, my breath visible in the cold that now filled the air. The charms seemed to burn in my hand, and the creature hissed, retreating just a step. But it did not leave. Its eyes stayed fixed on mine, and I felt the weight of its hunger pressing against me, suffocating me. I don't know how long I stood there, frozen. Minutes, hours, it didn't matter. At last, I dared to blink, and when I opened my eyes, it was gone. The whispers fell silent. The forest stood still again. But I was not the same. I stumbled out of the bamboo, drenched in sweat, my legs trembling beneath me. By the time I reached the village, dawn was breaking. People stared at me as I passed, pale and shaking, but I said nothing. How could I? Who would believe me? That night, I dreamed of the eyes. They followed me into sleep, glowing in the dark corners of my room. And when I woke, I swore I could still hear the whispers, faint and lingering, calling my name. I thought it was over, but it was only the beginning. Because once the forest has seen you, once it has spoken your name, you never truly escape.